biggest voter suppression I've ever seen. And that's why I told, I think it was Channel 32, that he's a coward. He did not want to face me head up. He knew that I was going to dominate in that room. And that's why he did not allow my residents inside of the building.
Tiffany Hard is convinced that everything happening is part of a deliberate scheme to bring her down. Rather than owning up to her mistakes, she and her team believe it's a calculated setup targeting her.
Y'all make time for mess, but won't make time for the business that needs to be conducted here in Thornton Township. That is the problem, that is the facts, that is what's going on right now in your own backyard.
Buckle up, because this political drama is straight out of a reality TV show. After being shut down at the Dorton Township caucus, Tiffany Hard is alleging a full-scale conspiracy against her. While political conspiracies aren't exactly new, this one feels like a messy movie script. The FBI's role remains unclear, and for now it's just business as usual. Political chaos and endless accusations. During a recent board meeting, Hard voiced her frustration over trustees Chris Gonzalez and Carmen Caralay's no-shows, dubbing it a Houdini act. She argues this deadlock has paralyzed vital township functions, with unpaid insurance, overdue bills, and services like senior food deliveries hanging in the balance.
Essential services that are at stake. One, being the insurance. I have mentioned this at a previous special meeting that no one attended. I have scheduled several special meetings and no one has attended. And that's my problem that I have with all of this gridlock, this political theater. People have been going to other people's board meetings, but yet you send an email to Thornton Township stating you cannot attend, that you're out of town. You went out of town last night when you was at District 149 board meeting, trustee Chris Gonzalez. Y'all make time for mess, but won't make time for the business that needs to be conducted here in Thornton Township.
This situation has turned into a full-fledged political stalemate, with trustees at an impasse. The main issue lies with trustees Chris Gonzalez and Carmen Carile, who are deliberately absent, reportedly waiting until December 9th, 30 days after former trustee Jerry Jones stepped down to hold a consensus vote for the new trustee. Their goal is to prevent Tiffany Hard from unilaterally appointing someone, as they want to avoid giving her another rubber stamp vote. In the meantime, the trustees cast votes via email, and Hard is furious, calling the move illegal. She claims both the Attorney General and township lawyers have confirmed that email votes are invalid, likening them to monopoly money in a real estate deal. Hard insists that votes must be cast in person during official meetings, not through informal email exchanges.
They send emails when we have been told by the attorney, told by the AG, that you cannot and will not do a consent vote. But yet, they still say, do a consent vote. That is illegal, guys. Did you hear me? Illegal. We cannot do anything as it relates to sending a vote via email. So when they ask you to do that, you should say, hey, why are y'all saying to do something illegal through email? You guys should always come here and say yes or no as represent to your vote, because it doesn't matter what someone feels about someone up here. What matters is you came here to do your job, you executed your vote, and you said yes or you said no.
Tiffany Hard accuses the trustees of deliberately skipping meetings to create a gridlock in the township, stalling votes, decisions, and critical services like senior food deliveries and transportation. She claims trustees Chris Gonzalez and Carmen Carile are acting as pawns for Illinois Senator Napoleon Harris and Mayor Jones of Kansas City. Hard didn't hold back, referring to them as manipulated puppet masters, orchestrating a political chess game with her as the target for checkmate. In a dramatic turn, Senator Harris, rumored to be running for township supervisor, even wielded the gavel to shut Hard down at a recent meeting. While Hard points fingers, her critics argue that much of this chaos is of her own making.
Unfortunately, our board has been manipulated by the powers to be, and I've been saying this, and I'm continuing to say this. I told you that the board gets their order from Thaddeus Jones, he's the mayor of Kansas City, and Napoleon Harris, he's the senator and the committeeman. I keep telling you this, and you need to pay attention to what's going on in your own backyard.
Now, let's take a closer look at the caucus, where the accusations reach a boiling point. Tiffany Hard alleges that many of her supporters, including seniors, some in wheelchairs and others with oxygen tanks, were left out in the cold, unable to enter the building. She claims this was part of a plan orchestrated by Senator Napoleon Harris and his team, who, she says, intentionally blocked them from gaining access. Hard goes as far as accusing Harris of engaging in what she calls villain-level behavior, comparing the entire episode to a scene straight out of a bad political drama.
You got video footage of everything. You got video of me going inside, saying, hey, we're here, and they said they had a party at 5 o'clock. So we got there at about 4:30. Some got there right before 5. When we tried to enter into the building, they told us we could not come in because they had a party going on at 5 o'clock. Residents from throughout Thornton Township showed up in drones. We had buses out there, cars, it was super cold. And I ran into you outside, and I was out there with them. They didn't even let me in. So when I did try to go in originally around 5, they told me they had a party and we cannot enter into the building. I asked, can you please let the residents inside the building? They said, no, they have a party. I said, but this is our residents. Let them in. They said, no, they did not register for the party.
My biggest problem with the caucus was the fact that there were people on the inside that was not from Thornton Township. There was children on the inside yelling and voting. We never had the opportunity to properly vet anybody that was in that party. They let people in from 4 o'clock through side doors, and whoever else was in there, many of those people did not live in Thornton Township. Should not have been in the building participating in the caucus.
I also want to lay the fact that you must be qualified, meaning be a resident of Thornton Township. Napoleon Harris is not a resident of Thornton Township.
Hard and her team claim to have video evidence of voter suppression at the caucus, which they intend to take to court. However, it wasn't just Hard's supporters who were left outside. Many of her opponents were shut out as well, leading some to believe the issue was more of a logistical mishap than a deliberate conspiracy. Meanwhile, Hard accuses Senator Napoleon Harris of orchestrating a rigged caucus, alleging that nominations were completely shut down. She claims Harris simply nominated himself and his slate, skipping over votes or debate, essentially telling attendees, "Thanks for coming, the door is over there." If true, Hard argues, this wasn't a caucus, it was a coronation.
Was your name ever on the ballot? Did they ever actually, say Tiffany Henyard and they vote on it, or no?
No, no one had the opportunity to basically be a nominee, and that's where they messed up at. You're supposed to allow anybody that wants to run for office the opportunity to nominate themselves, let alone a slate, let alone anybody in the room can say, hey, I nominate myself for supervisor, I nominate myself for clerk, but they didn't give anybody the opportunity to do that. He only nominated himself and his wrong. And I was fighting for my people to get in the building because it was cold outside.
Tiffany Hard alleges that her name never appeared on the ballot during the caucus, and no one was given the chance to nominate themselves for office. She argues that the process was fundamentally flawed, as it's standard practice to allow attendees to nominate themselves or others for positions like supervisor or clerk. Instead, Hard claims that Senator Napoleon Harris bypassed this procedure, nominating only himself and his slate. She also insists that she fought to get her supporters inside, many of whom were left outside in the cold, an issue she believes highlights the exclusionary tactics employed by Harris and his team.
Sandra Elston has been the township assessor here in Thornton Township for the past 10 years. This morning she got a call from her staff saying something weird was going on at the office, and we talked to her about what happened next. Take a look.
Let's pause for a moment, because here's where things get ironic. Many of the tactics Hard accuses her opponents of using, locking people out, changing venues last minute, and manipulating meeting logistics, are the same ones she's been accused of during her own time as supervisor of Thornton Township and mayor of Dalton. A prime example, the time she famously changed the locks on her own assessor's office.
This was your office?
Yes.
What happened when you tried to open it?
It doesn't work.
The lock got changed?
Yes.
That's right. Thornton Township Assessor Cassandra Elston got locked out of her own office, what appears she believes to be retaliation from Thornton Township Supervisor Tiffany Henyard.
Cassandra Elston has been the Thornton Township Assessor for the past 10 years, but this morning she got an unexpected call from her staff about something unusual at the office. When we spoke to her, she recalled her arrival. "This was your office?" "Yes." "What happened when you tried to open it?" "It doesn't work. The locks were changed." Elston discovered she had been locked out of her own office, which she believes was an act of retaliation by Thornton Township Supervisor Tiffany Hard.
The attorney for Mr. Harris says you were not qualified because you didn't have a certified assessor on your ticket. What do you say to that?
That's not true. How would anybody know that if you didn't give me an opportunity to make my nominations? People can't just assume what they think I have. I have to make the nominations on the floor before someone can say that I didn't have some. That's not true.
Tiffany Hard's critics are quick to highlight the irony of her current situation, noting that many of the tactics she accuses her opponents of, such as locking out critics, changing venues at the last minute, and creating logistical barriers, are the same ones she's been accused of using herself. Now, the tables have turned, and it seems she's been outmaneuvered in the political game she once played. Hard is framing this as a hostile takeover, accusing Senator Napoleon Harris and Mayor Jones of orchestrating a shadow government to oust her from power. While backroom deals and political alliances are nothing new, proving these claims in court will require solid evidence, such as videos or witness testimony, to back up her accusations of voter suppression. Hard calls Harris a coward for avoiding a fair fight, alleging that he blocked her supporters because her base was too strong. However, without concrete evidence, her arguments may come across as a blame the system defense to explain her loss. Her next likely move is a lawsuit, but proving intentional voter suppression over mere incompetence will be a tough challenge, especially against seasoned politicians like Harris, who seem to have a better grasp of the caucus process. To complicate matters further, Harris's camp has raised questions about the validity of Hard's slate, pointing to the absence of a certified assessor. Hard counters that this argument is irrelevant since the nominations weren't properly conducted, but this only adds to the chaos and confusion surrounding the situation. When asked about an attorney representing Napoleon Harris who claims she wasn't qualified due to lacking a certified assessor on her ticket, Tiffany Hard responded sharply, "That's not true. How would anyone know that if you didn't give me the opportunity to make my nominations? People can't just assume what they think I have. I need to make the nominations on the floor before anyone can say I didn't have one. That's simply not true." The situation in Thornton Township is a tangled mess of accusations, gridlock, and political maneuvering, and it remains uncertain how the courts will resolve it. Critics of Tiffany Hard argue that the gridlock isn't just about conspiracies, but is driven by personal grudges and power struggles, suggesting Hard's own actions may have alienated her team, leading to the current deadlock. A press release shared by Critical Smoker claims that Senator Napoleon Harris and his supporters manipulated the caucus proceedings by hosting a private function before the official event. During this gathering, select individuals were allowed entry through side doors, some of whom were not even residents of the township. The release makes serious allegations, including voter suppression, venue manipulation, and election tampering, all of which Hard's camp believes were aimed specifically at her. A timeline provided in the release highlights the chaos caused by the gridlock, such as the township's potential loss of insurance due to boycotted meetings. With growing pressure, Hard is fighting to keep her position and the substantial salary that comes with it. However, the legal battle ahead is tough, as proving a rigged system without solid evidence will be a challenge. In politics, perception often outweighs reality, and right now the perception is that the township is in turmoil, with Hard at the center of it all. The saga is far from over, and more developments are likely as this situation continues to unfold.